Hello friends, this is the video for the month of May 2024. We are continuing the story we started in April, and in April we said that the ultimatum was expected, which happened actually, and that there would be an upheaval or like the change in the Middle East, which also happened. And we have seen economic and value changes to some extent with the jump of the value of the gold, which we can connect with the conjunction of Uranus and Jupiter that happened on the April the 20th, but this is just the beginning. The energy of these planets will develop in the next 15 years, and now we are just at the beginning of the new 5-year cycle, in which there will be many surprises. After the extremely intense full moon in Scorpio that we experienced at the end of April, the energy decreases somewhat. The transformative processes with the full moon in Scorpio brought healing to many and prepared them for a new, perhaps healthier phase of life. But of course, such experiences are often very exhausting, even if they are inevitable. So what will happen now in May? At the 8th of May is going to happen new moon in Taurus, and on the 23rd of May, full moon in Sagittarius. Then Sun is until the 20th in Taurus, after that in Gemini. Mercury until the 15th in Aries, then in Taurus. Venus until the 23rd in Taurus, then in Gemini. Mars in Aries, Jupiter until the 25th in Taurus, then in Gemini, which is a big thing. We will speak here about Jupiter. Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius from the 3rd of May. The month begins with a square between Venus and Pluto, which speaks of conflict due to the great passion and desires. This applies on a collective and also on the individual level. If it is possible to judge the month according to the first day, then we can expect great dynamics and passion. Pluto will be retrograde also this month in Aquarius, we said, since the May the 3rd, and this begins a period of integration of that what was happening from October 2023 until now. And of course it is connected with the crisis in the Middle East. And now certain events will in a way stop. We need all to process something what happened, and that will be until the October of the year 2024, and then new things will start happening on the world level. It is going to be important meeting of the countries, BRICS countries, and much things will happen until then in USA. So from October on, Pluto will give us more opportunities to see how the future will look like concerning these connections and let's say networks that people will create between countries and inside their societies. Although May is more fertile and a little less stormy than April, especially in the 3rd decade, it still has many dangerous challenges. The aforementioned square between Venus and Pluto is connected also with Pluto retrograde period, and this will affect Taurus, Libra, and Scorpios the most. And also on the world level, it means that the power, the appetites for the power are not disappearing, and that the financial and economic crisis is still huge. Through the month of May, Mars is in Aries, and Mars also in this position strengthens passion and combativeness. And even from the 19th to the 20th of May, Mars is in conjunction with Rahu. This is the North Node. This also applies for several days around this date, and unfortunately I have to say this is the symbol of war destruction. Mars is in domicile in the Aries, so the whole month in its sign, which means that very direct and very decisive battles are still going on. They are fighting and fighting. However, let us pray for those who suffer, and let's hope that these crazy fights on our planet will stop as soon as possible. Then May the 8th is the new moon in Taurus, and it will happen at the 18th degree of Taurus. In the video for April, we talk a lot about the Taurus archetype, so I'm not going to repeat here that much. I will say a few things more, but you know, I guess, what this archetype means. In any case, the full moon continues the themes that Uranus and Jupiter started when they met in April in the sign of Taurus. And now a new cycle begins, and it will be very important for people who are Taurus themselves, have sun or moon or ascendant in Taurus. Great new beginning is now coming for them. The horoscope of the new moon is itself very interesting and even promising. On that day, there is going to be stellium of planets in Taurus, and with many positive aspects, which is fantastic. So these changes concerning food, money, economic system, valuation of human work, and so on, if there are going to be some, it will be kind of okay next 6 months, you know. However, this stellium in Taurus is followed by the struggles, which are symbolized with the planets in Aries, and they are also followed by the disintegration of the system, which is symbolized by the planets in Pisces, and Neptune and Saturn are in Pisces, of course, at this new moon. So there are many things happening in at least these three subjects. But you see, there are possible positive outcomes, especially about these Taurian things. But let's also analyze the situation just a little bit, and let's remember what is happening, because it seems that it will be okay, but we need to know what is happening and what is their idea there. So we see that cash is disappearing from circulation in many countries of the world, which means that they can completely control us through the banks. This is true both for the East and for the West. We have seen in China this technocratic experiment with their total control, and in that case, actually, money was kind of money, or the energy that was used during this experiment, and they called it credit, social credit. So people were getting social credits depending on that what they do or what they did not do according to their behaviors. So if they had pluses, they could, for example, have a passport. If they don't have pluses, they could not travel abroad and do things like that. So someone will say, well, that's fine, we need to have order in this crazy world. Of course we need it, but I emphasize, it all depends on who is leading the game and how we understand the game. Look closer to the experiment that was happening in China, and you will see that people were just numbers there for them. They disappeared as human beings. Unfortunately, something similar is happening in the north of Europe, West North Europe, where many people are chipped already, and they did that voluntarily, and they even think that they are free, because they cannot maybe guess what can come after with the control. Then also the fight against farmers and those who produce food as well as livestock farmers is brutal. Diseases are invented to kill healthy livestock, and food is restricted to people because part of their agenda is to control people through food. So GMO food is offered as a better solution than normal food, as well as worms and insects, although it is not clear to the common sense why this would be so. Also, let's remember that big corporations bought the water sources in this world. So those who most cruelly exploited the whole world, and Africa in particular, those who burned and cut down forests and committed the greatest crimes are now appearing as the advocates of ecology, and they're talking about limiting carbon dioxide emission. They even give lessons to the countries of Africa, as the Africans themselves were destroying their ecosystem. Fortunately, some African presidents now have enough strength and knowledge also to be able to tell them that they are hypocrites and that they no longer want them on their territory. And if you're following what is happening in Africa, then you know that colonialists are pushed away. But many young people who see that something is really wrong with the planet, with the climate and the current mode of transport, have very sincere, in a sincere way, they accepted green agenda and they advocate for the reduction of carbon dioxide emission, while having no idea that someone who now talks about green energy is actually the biggest exploiters of this planet and destroyers of the air, and that they're actually planning to control the humanity with the help of digital technologies through the green agenda. The force of Thanatos is now so strong, as is the manipulation of human consciousness, especially of the young man, that it is possible that many will never wake up, or all that will take them a long time. They will always have the option to blame someone who, for example, lives somewhere in the East or somewhere else for the evil that was happening in this world. And sooner or later, they will be confronted with that, because the war is ending and, the roles will be divided. The projection of the shadow onto others is not only a part of our psyche, but it is the instrument which the crazy minds which still rule the world are using, especially to manipulate the consciousness or the mind of a young man. For example, one of their ways is how they manipulate young people is the suggestion, you are to blame for everything. So it's not the fault of the colonizer who exploited people and the planet for centuries and destroyed it. It's your fault. This is what they are suggesting. Of course, from the point of view of astrological psychology and various spiritual sciences, we know that we are conditionally, of course, guilty for everything, all of us actually, because we form our reality by our state of consciousness. And there is a reason why we are all now incarnated. But here is this psychologically spiritual conception misused, completely misused. So this creates a feeling in the young man that he bears the blame for the downfall of the world or for the destruction of the planet. We are also following how through the green agenda, so-called, but not only, through other things also, a new religion is being created, which is for now secular. It is the same thing that was happening with communism. And of course, this secular religion is especially promoted, let's say, through school education, this green agenda. Of course, new religion is being sought in the eastern part of the world also, which can be equally secular. But finally, what will happen on this or that side depends a lot on our level of consciousness. So let's know what is happening and not be naive to accept anything of this. And maybe now you are wondering why I'm talking so much about the position of a young man in today's world. Well, I'm talking about that because the entry of Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, which happens on the May 25th, will emphasize the role of a young people. Fortunately, the BRICS countries have a chance to create a new concept of the world if they overcome their inner limitations, primarily China, you know. If they manage to do it, maybe we can have really another option, and this sources of energy will be different, and everything will maybe happen in a better way, but we don't know, you know. It seems that it can be, but let's see what they can do. So let's now speak a little bit more about Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. As we know, Jupiter is the planet of happiness, expansion, knowledge, God, grace. It is our guru, a very soft guru, and he is the one who gives us gifts. He gives us gifts both if we deserve them or we don't, you know. So from the May 2024 to June 2025, Gemini people are favorites of the god. They will get more gifts than others, but not in a material form, because Jupiter brings knowledge, happiness, journeys, optimism, and visions. Not material things, you know, he's not interested much in that, but it can also be in a certain way, especially if somebody believes that he deserves that. The last time Jupiter was in Gemini was 12 years ago, so it is possible that what we went through 12 years ago repeats now in a way, so you can find out that. It affects all of us, of course, but especially Gemini people, so I'm saying those who have Sun, Moon, and Ascendant in Gemini especially, but also people who are air and fire signs, means except Gemini, Libra and Aquarius, and also fire signs, Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius, because they will have sextiles or trines with this Jupiter. I talk quite a lot about the transit of Jupiter in my videos and my horoscopes for 2024, but they're not in English, unfortunately. So because Jupiter magnifies everything, it can also magnify problems. And as you guess, these can be problems in schools, on about education, or related to young people, or communications, and things like that, you know, those things that are connected with the sign of Gemini. But of course, Jupiter can bring happy circumstances regarding education and also information and communication and so on. But we will see how that will happen. The trouble is that Jupiter is in its fall in Gemini sign, so in a weak position. It is likely that the discovery of the truths will continue and be accompanied with the manipulations. Better times are coming only when Jupiter entered the sign of Cancer, which will be from June 2025. Jupiter in Gemini emphasizes the need to move, strengthens the sport life, gives the opportunity to travel, so many who are interested in this can prosper significantly. It would, we can say, like by using the words of modern psychology, that Jupiter in Gemini will improve our cognitive functions. Why? Because the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and Mercury is not only the planet of communication, but it generally speaks about our perception of reality. So we can perceive reality by intuition, rationally, through senses, and so on. So this will be somehow improved. Nevertheless, we can expect also that false informations are growing also because Jupiter is pressing the Gemini sign to talk the truth, and Gemini doesn't want it, you know, he likes manipulations. So it is going to happen something like that. But definitely we will all perceive informations differently, which is quite important. I think that this transit can bring knowledge or some recognition of the truth for people who are rational, because until now mostly intuitive people understood what is happening in the world, but with this transit rational people can also maybe they will be confronted with some arguments that they cannot ignore, and will tell them about the truth of this reality where we live in. Also, the countries or the states that are Gemini in the horoscope will be now very dynamic and will have a better and happier face. I will also try to make a special video about the transit of Jupiter through the sign of Gemini for all zodiac signs, that we can all of us be happy for a while, enjoy the good moments. So we said in this video many bad things that are actually happening through the Taurus archetype, but I have to say that there are a few fantastic days while still planets are in a Taurus sign, except for the new moon, which is also promising. We also have on the 13th and the 18th of May conjunctions of Sun and Venus with the Uranus in Taurus sign. So those who want to jump into the unknown, to turn current relationships around, to free themselves from something, they will now have new opportunities and they can make surprises for themselves and for the others. And then on the 23rd is going to be full moon in Sagittarius at the 2nd degree. And at first glance, these energies that are now appearing around the full moon seem to have nothing in common with that what happened before in April or first 3 weeks in May. The good news is that both the Sun and the Moon are in sextile or in a trine with Pluto. So it's quite nice, very regenerative. It is maybe some sort of regeneration coming through a mysterious way, especially for people who are Sagittarians. It is a great day for meeting people and have social events. On a global level, this full moon potentially marks the end of the current use, or better to say misuse, of satellites. It prepares us also for the entry of Jupiter into the sign of Gemini, which will actually symbolize that slowly this struggle for resources is stopping. I guess they shared the world as they wanted, more or less, and we are now entering in a little bit easier phase, but still it's not time to celebrate. We have very, very tough July, we have tough October, September, October. But the new life is coming, it's slowly growing and we can see through some of those transits. Also, let's mention that on the 18th of May, Sun will have the conjunction with Jupiter, which we usually consider the best day of the year. And 23rd of May, Venus makes conjunction with Jupiter. These are fantastic days. But these actually conjunctions are happening on the last degrees of Taurus. So it is not maybe the best time to begin something completely new. Better to make a change within something that you are doing already, or maybe to make something new from that what was known for you before, something like that. But it's a good time. Yeah, these days are really good. It can be also time for rewards for many, for most of those people who had changes with Jupiter and Uranus, and maybe they were afraid of that in April. Now is going to come some optimism and maybe some gifts from God. So these happy days actually remind us that in May, after all, life blooms. The grass is growing, the flowers are blooming, and the nature turns green. And of course, this is not because of the reduction of carbon dioxide, but because we live in a cycle of a birth and death, and now is the time for a new birth. However, these happy days are like a very short time. You cannot do much things in that time, but if it's possible, try to do it. I wish you very, very good luck in this, and I wish you to have a lot of gifts coming to you from any side. And that's all for now that I wanted to tell you in this May video. If you wish, you can of course order personal consultations with me based on astropsychology, spiritual astrology, or based on the method that I named the change of code, the change of perception. And this method helps us to work with our conscious or even subconscious programs that are perhaps preventing us from being that what we want to be, or from achieving what we want to achieve, or help us to be healthier and live a better life. If you like this video, like it, please share and sign up for my channel, and thank you very much for that. I wish you luck, I wish you courage, and I wish you to feel this May energy and to enjoy in the this flowering and green energy of the nature, and to see that actually this new life is coming to us. And see you soon.